All right, part one of this video was the highlight reel. Part two was going to be the truth serum that you've all been waiting for. We're diving into the builders that look amazing in the model home. They crush it on Instagram and then they kind of wobble once the drywall goes up. We're talking about where the brochure is a 10, but the punch list, it might be longer than your grocery run. So let's do a quick rewind, guys. In part one, we crowned the true standouts, right? The builders I choose for myself and laid out why they win on build quality, service, value, and the design flexibility. And if you missed that one, guys, just circle back after you watch this one. It's the foundation for everything we're about to talk about right now. Now we're going to be testing some of the shiny stuff. These are the brands that can dazzle you on day one, but you have to ask the smart questions, guys. You're going to need to check what's actually going to be included and keep your inspector close. And I'll show you how to spot the gap between the model and the home that you're actually going to get your keys for so you can keep the look without all the letdown. Yeah, we're naming names and showing receipts in this video. I'm gonna show you how to price the must-have upgrades and how to read a contract without getting played, guys. And then give you the tools for the quick hallway test that tells you more and more than the sales flyer ever will. Let's separate the pretty pictures from the real-life keepers and make sure you're prepared when your time comes to make your move. All right, so this next tier is going to be great on paper, but mid in practice. So these are going to be those builders who live in a land of so much potential, right? But something's just kind of off. It might be the customer service, the finish quality, or how the homes age after a year or two, right? You'll walk into the model and be like, man, Marquez, this is super, super nice. And then you'll start asking questions and realize it's going to be a near miss. All right, so let's talk about Brightland Homes, which used to be Guillen Homes, but now they're called DRB. And that new name, it really looks fresh, but the glow up, it isn't all the way there just yet, guys. The floor plans are going to be strong, right? You have the open rooms, lots of light, smart use of space, guys. And some buyers, they say that their sales team is friendly and the design looks great. While others, the process can feel stressful with delays and the mixed communication. So the product can be good, but the experience isn't always the same from one buyer to the next. Around DFW, you'll see DRB in places like Frisco, Prosper, and Mansfield, and they're usually priced from about $350,000 up to $550,000, just depending on the community and the size of the house. Their style kind of leans more that classic Texas rather than the bold and modern, which is going to help your resale value even if it feels just a little predictable, right? If you find a DRB home that fits your list, you can move forward, guys. Just stay on top of all the details. Keep a close eye on the warranty items, ask the clear questions, and document everything so the finishes matches what you expect. Now, they're going to have a lot of potential. If they cleaned up with some of these things, they could be really close to great. But like I always tell you guys, a little extra oversight helps you land the win in the long run. Now, if this is your first time to the channel, I'm Mark with the Dallas Relocation Guide, and we help people buy, sell, and relocate right here to the Dallas Metroplex. Look, nobody's out here boots on the ground giving you the insights, intel, and the introspect quite like we do, guys. We give you the best visuals, insider info, so you can make the best moves for you and your family. So if you're thinking about making a move, guys, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info is down in the description below and pinned to the top of the chat. All right, so let's mosey on over here into American Legend Homes. Now look, I've got a soft spot for American Legend, guys. They feel like that dependable friend who doesn't brag online but always shows up when you need them. In places like Frisco, Little Elm, and Salina, they built a steady name with solid structure and long-term values, guys. The floor plans, they really live well, and the homes, they hold up, and when it's time to sell, buyers recognize this brand. If you want a house that just works without the drama, they fit in that lane. Now, the issue comes in and where they tend to slip is the style and the sizzle, right? A lot of their designs, they just feel safe, like something that was approved by a big committee back in 2015. And that's not bad per se, it's just not very exciting. The reviews I read, they tend to land in the low to mid 4-star range, guys, and the common gripes are the delays during construction and communication that can feel a little too corporate sometimes. You'll definitely get what you pay for here, but you might wish the process felt a little more personal, guys. Prices for these homes, they usually range from $550,000 all the way up to $1 million depending on the community and the size. I want you to think about the strong bones, the decent resale, and a calm ownership experience. If builders were coffee, guys, American Legend is that vanilla latte, right? It's going to be reliable and easy to like, even if you sometimes wish you had gone for the cold brew with a little bit of extra kick. But for a lot of families, though, that steady choice is exactly the point. Now, this next one's going to be a Texas staple, but I want you to listen closely when we get started. Guys, you can spot a First Texas home from a block away, guys. Big turrets, bold bricks, lots of look at me type of energy. It's very Dallas circa 2008. For years, they ran the same playbook and it showed, guys, and still even to this day, they pretty much have all the same floor plans. The good news is they started to add some extra ones and started to update some things, right? You're now seeing cleaner layouts, brighter kitchens, and a better natural light that feels more current with today's times. Pricing usually starts in the high 400s and can usually climb up over the 8s for the larger plans. Look, they're active in spots like Mansfield, Red Oak, and Forney, and reviews for this builder, they sit around that high 3-star range on the Better Business Bureau, right? If you want that size, that presence, and that we make made it here type of curb appeal without going too custom, they'll catch your eye seriously fast. So why are they in that almost category, guys? Look, the show here is really strong, right? You get the tall ceilings, the arches, the dramatic entries, but the behind the scenes work can feel a step older. Even when I walk into the model sometimes, the models look immaculate, but then when you go into an inventory home, it's a stark contrast. It feels more basic, and you're really gonna have to spend the money to make it look like that model. So what I'm saying is it's a wow on the tour and sometimes the when you hang the first picture and notice the details. But for the right buyer who loves the look and keeps a sharp inspector on deck, it can still be a fun, big impact type of pick. All right, next up, guys, if there were an MVP for first-time home buyers, it would definitely be History Maker Homes. They're great at stretching space on a tight budget, kind of like the IKEA of DFW builders. They're going to be simple, efficient, and built to do the job. Their floor plans are going to be very practical, guys. Their rooms flow well, and you get more house than you expect for your money. It's not super flashy, but it works, guys, and that's the point when you're trying to land a solid start. You'll find their neighborhoods in more affordable spots like Princeton, Anna, and Forney with prices usually starting around $300 to $390, and that's a big reason they stay on my radar. A lot of owners often praise the sales team and say the value is strong. The downsides tend to be the small stuff after closing, right? The paint touch-ups, the little cosmetic fixes, the warranty punch list that can take longer than you'd like sometimes. Nothing too wild, just the kind of follow-up that needs an extra few nudges. So if you're deciding to launch your Texas chapter and you want the most square footage for your budget, this is the smart lane to move into, guys. You're gonna get that clean, functional home that does the everyday things right. But if you're dreaming of a showpiece kitchen or a designer spa bath on day one, you may feel a bit underwhelmed with this builder. Look, I just want you to go in with clear expectations, keep your inspector in the loop, and you'll score the value that you came in for without all the surprises. All right, controversy alert, here's the spicy take. Listen to me, Toll Brothers builds some of the prettiest homes you will ever see. I want you to think runway model houses with big entrances, the tall ceilings, and that we made it type of curb appeal. When you drive by, you just feel it, right? The look is clean, bold, and very, very high end. If you want drama and polish, they deliver on it by day one. But the reviews typically tell a different type of story, guys. On the consumer sites, the ratings can be rough with a lot of the talk about delays, mixed messages, and the warranty type of headaches. It's like buying a luxury car and then finding out the service desk won't call you back. The product looks premium, but the process doesn't always feel that way as well. And that gap is what trips people up all the time, guys. In DFW, most Toll homes, they start above 700 grand and can push up past 1 million, 2 million. I mean, they going up there. And they build in places like Prosper, Southlake, Frisco, Solano, right? So you're paying real money for that brand look. And if you're shopping in this range, guys, you want the experience to match the price tag. That's only gonna be fair. The question is whether the finish line feels as good as a photo on their brochure. But man, when Toll gets it right, the homes are stunning and the resale story is super, super strong. But when they miss, it can feel like a heartbreak with marble countertops. So if you do decide to go this right, stay close to the build, guys. You want to ask the clear questions and document everything so the end result matches the dream that you pulled up in. If you do that, then you can capture all that wow factor without the what happened to my home. All right, now let's talk about the skating on thin ice crowd, guys. These are the builders that look cute from the street, but once you peek behind the curtain, things feel a little bit wobbly. It's going to be that kind of situation where the model home sparkles that your gut says, let's slow down and double check some things on this one. And that instinct is definitely going to be right, guys. With these builders, you have to read every line and ask every question and then keep your inspector close, guys. Union Maine is going to be a great example of this. They came out hot, but consistency has definitely been a problem with them. Look, I've seen their sales team switch and managers change in the middle of builds before, which is never a great sign for a smooth process. Now, their homes, they present well, clean lines with solid curb appeal, but behind the scene, you'll hear the stories about rush time lines and finishes that need one more pass over. It's not that they can't deliver, it's that you may have to push to get the details across the finish line. You're going to find Union Maine in places like Princeton, Anna, Melissa, with prices usually starting in the mid 300s and stretching into the low 4s depending on the plan and the lot, right? The reviews for this one, they tend to sit in the high 3-star range, which tracks with what I see. Some buyers, they love the floor plans and they feel they got a strong value, while others felt like the home was still a work in progress on closing day. Now, when feedback swings that wide, guys, it means your experience is going to depend a lot on the specific community team and how closely you manage your process. If you're considering Union Maine, go in with eyes wide open and be hands-on, right? Walk the home at framing, at drywall, and again at the final inspection. You want to keep a written list of fixes, confirm what's included versus an upgrade, and set your timeline expectations in writing, guys. If you do that, you can protect your budget and your peace of mind, guys. If you skip those steps, then you might end up starring in a home ownership episode you didn't plan to film. Now, Impression Homes, they build a lot of homes in the $320,000 to $450,000 range, and they're mostly around Fort Worth, Burleson, and Crowley. From the street, many of their houses, they look sharp. The elevations, they'll catch your eye, the brickwork, it looks neat, and the curb appeal is on point, guys. If you're shopping in this price point and want something new without waiting forever, they'll pop up on your list pretty fast. The concern here, it shows up once you step inside, guys. I've walked finished specs that look great from the curb, then found drywall cracks, trim that didn't fit quite right, and floors that weren't even. Now, none of that is a deal breaker by itself, but it chips away at that new home feeling, right? You shouldn't have to plan a mini renovation the week after closing just to fix the basics. Now, with all that being said, Impression fills a very important niche, right? They give buyers a patch into a new home at a reachable number in areas people actually want to live in. And for a lot of families, that balance of price, location, and availability, that matters more than a magazine perfect interior on day one. So if you're okay with doing a little tune-up work or pushing for warranty fixes, the value can still make sense for you. If you're leaning this way, guys, go in with your eyes wide open and your inspector on speed dial. Walk the home during framing, check the drywall before the paint, and do a slow final with the blue tape in hand. Make sure you get what's promised written down, follow up in writing, and hold the team in the punch list. If you do that and you could lock in the price and the location while keeping those little issues from becoming big issues, then you'll definitely walk away in a solid situation. All right, so now we're going to talk about one that everybody knows, right? D.R. Horton is the giant of the U.S. builders, and you feel it the second you start looking. They're pretty much everywhere around the Metroplex. Forney, Midlothian, Mansfield, Melissa, Princeton, you name it, they're there. They really own that entry-level lane, which is why so many first-time buyers end up touring their homes, right? If you want new construction under about $350, Horton is hard to avoid. The flip side is going to be the scale, guys. Because they build so much, quality can swing from I love my new home to never freaking again. And the crazy thing is that can happen on the same street. That's why I tell folks to plan for 2 inspections, one after the drywall goes up and one right before closing. Also, watch the community mix, guys. If a neighborhood drifts towards more rentals after the first couple of years, your resale may feel that later. Listen, I'm not trying to bag on them because Horton can get you into home ownership fast and at a reachable number. But what I'm telling you is to bring patience, bring a good inspector, and write everything down so small issues don't become big ones. All right, here comes another hot take alert, so I want you to buckle up for this one. Grand Homes build houses that stop traffic. I've literally had clients walk into that home and be like, yo, this is too nice for us to want to buy. And to me, I was like, well, okay, I've never heard that before, but I get what you're saying. Grand always has those sharp lines, the big windows, and the modern fronts that make you just say, wow. But here's the catch with them. Almost everything you fell in love with in the model is an absolute upgrade. The base house looks good, but the show home is a dressed up version like Lori Harvey. Prices may start in the low 500, but once you add the shiny stuff you saw on the tour, the number can jump fast into $700 to $1 million. And reviews really tell the same story over and over and over. Beautiful homes, disappointing execution. One of the reviews I saw, they put it plainly, we loved the model. Then we learned we had to pay for every single thing that made it beautiful. And that gap between what you see and what's included is the key thing to watch with this one, right? So here's gonna be my take. Architecturally, it's a freaking chef's kiss. I'm telling you, these houses are immaculate. Financially, you gotta move with caution, guys. If Grand checks all of your boxes, I want you to go in with a clear list, guys. Ask what's truly included, price the upgrades before you fall in love with the house, and keep your inspector close as always. If you do that and you can enjoy the look without getting surprised by the bill, then we're in for a solid one here. All right, so now we're gonna talk about the bottom rung where our red flags need to be throwing up. This is where the metaphorical brakes go out, guys. These are the builders I advise clients to skip entirely unless circumstances really force your hand. Starlight Homes. Starlight is Ashton Wood's budget line, and it shows for sure. You'll walk in and wonder why there's still carpet in the living room and in the freaking bathroom. The prices here usually start around $300K and they go up to the mid-4s just depending on the area, so the entry point is definitely friendly. The trade-off is going to be the quality, guys. Many buyers complain about cheap materials, sloppy work, and a slow warranty process, guys. It's the kind of house that looks fine at a glance and makes you reach for your blue tape once you get closer. If your goal is simply to own a place now and plan to upgrade later, Starlight can work. Just be ready to spend more over time to and make it feel right. But if you're thinking long-term comfort, solid finishes, and fewer headaches, I'd keep driving and look for a stronger starting point, guys. Your future self will definitely thank you. Now, when it comes to Megatel homes, guys, I want to cheer because they used to be really, really solid, right? But lately, though, they've been chasing this big splashy lagoon projects, and it sounds exciting, but I hear too many stories about the amenities that aren't finished and HOA rules that feel confusing. Now, when they get it right in some of the communities that I've seen, it's amazing because their amenities are fire. But that could sometimes be some of the outlier situation, guys. Their homes usually run from about 400,000 to 700 across the DFW, and some of the common feedback is the same, guys. Nice designs, weak follow through. And that gap between the promise and the finish is what gives me pause, right? If you're considering Megatel, guys, I want you to go in with clear eyes and a steady plan. Don't just talk to the sales team, guys. Ask to chat with people who already live there and see how the neighborhood actually runs day to day. You want to make sure the amenities are real and not just renderings, and get the timelines in writing. If you do that, you'll know if the glossy brochure matches the life that you're about to buy into. All right, so here's going to be your cheat sheet in plain English, guys. I want you to think of this like the neighborhood map for builders. We're talking about who's strong, who's fine, and who needs a little bit of a timeout. Prices are going to shift by lot in upgrades, but this will help you aim your search without getting lost in all the weeds. So at the top of the list, guys, you've got Highland, Perry, Windsor, and Elmwood, guys. These are going to be those treat yourself type of picks with a custom feel and the designs that definitely age well. You're going to see them up in Frisco to Prosper to Rockwall to Mansfield and a lot of those outer luxury corridors, guys. The budgets here, they usually run from around $400,000 all the way up to $1 million, just depending on the size and the finishes. The reason they matter is simple, guys. They look great, they live great, and they tend to resell great as well. Next up, we're going to talk about the solid mid-tier crew. That's going to be Shattuck, NTREIS, GFO, Bloomfield, Astoria, Stone Hollow, Chesmire, Pacesetter, and then David Weekley as well. You'll find them pretty much everywhere, guys. Forney, Aubrey, Solana, Little Elm, McKinney, Midlothian, and more, right? Prices here, they tend to land in the 400s up to the 8s, and these folks, they really bring that quality and service without the ego trip. If you want reliable without going full luxury, guys, this is going to be your lane. And then we'll talk again about the middle grounds, guys. I want you to think Kehoe, Riverside, Kindred, Pulte, Beezer, Trophy, and Meritage Homes, guys. These are going to be common in those outlying suburbs and those big master plan neighborhoods. They usually are going to be in the 300 to the 600 range. They're going to be a clean entry point for a lot of buyers, guys. The key is to inspect closely, right? Ask what's included and budget for the upgrades you care about so your final number doesn't jump off the page. And then we're going to move into that caution zone, right? So Brightland, aka DRB, we have American Legend, First Texas, History Maker, and then Toll Brothers, right? The pricing here is going to stretch from a wide range, roughly $320,000 all the way up to over $1 million, depending on the brand and the location. The models can look amazing here, but you need the discipline. Check the contract, price the options, and stay close to the build so the reality matches the tour. And then we're going to talk about this risky bunch, guys. Union Main, Impression, DR Horton, and Grand Homes, guys. Look, the results can swing from, hey, that's not that bad, to frickin' yikes. And that's going to be based on the community team and the pace of the construction. Look, if you go this route, keep your inspector on speed dial and put everything in writing, right? You can still land the value, but you have to manage the details like a pro. And then finally, we're going to talk about the avoid zone. That's going to be Red Flag Finsta. And that's going to be Starlight, guys. And look, and for my long-term buyers, guys, who want fewer headaches and stronger resale, these just don't pencil out, right? You might see the tempting prices or the flashy promises, but follow through often isn't there on these. If your plan is to stay put and keep your stress low, you've got better options on the list than these. Use this as your playbook, right? Match your budget to the right tier, pick the area that fits your commute and your lifestyle, and keep your upgrade plan tight. If you do all of that, guys, and lock in, you'll feel confident from contract to closing and proud when it's time to show off those keys. At the end of the day, guys, lots of builders can put up a house, but only a few can give you a home they're going to be proud to show off. And that's really the whole game here. When you pick a builder, you're not just buying walls and a roof. You're choosing a partner for a short, intense season of your life, right? The person in charge of your foundation, your roof line, and everything else in between. So don't just shop with your feelings, guys. Shop with the facts. I want you to walk the model homes with those clear eyes. I want you to read the fine print. Call people who already live there and ask how it went for them. Talk to a local agent. Hey, how y'all doing? Mark Branson, your realtor here in Dallas. And make sure you know exactly where your money is going, guys. You want the floor plan that you love, the finishes that you actually get in the build process that doesn't make you pull your freaking hair out. Because when you move into your place in Dallas, Forney, or Prosper, guys, you don't want to be searching for a warranty lawyer, guys. You want to just be lighting your grill and bragging that your brisket beats your neighbors. So if you're ready to start your journey, guys, I'll guide you through the neighborhoods, the communities, and the floor plans that fit your goals, your budget, and your timeline. So let's make this thing fun and easy and less stressful. But if you're not quite at that stage yet, guys, we understand. That's why we created this channel. We created Netflix-style playlists that you can binge watch to get every question that you have answered, and you can check those out right there.